30, 60, 90 triangles. Okay, and this is always important to know what we're looking at here, because that's going to determine the formulas that we use. And so here we're using b equals a square root of 3, and c equals 2a. So the other thing that's important to remember, again, is it's asking us for the area. This is kind of like with the 45, 45, 90s. But before we can find the area, we're going to have to find the base and the height, right? The base of the triangle and the height of the triangle. Well, A is going to be the equivalent to our height. And then B, again, is just going to equal our base, right? So that's pretty simple. B is B. But I do need to recognize that the A is a different variable. And A represents the H. So if I was looking at this over here, once I get it all finished, then whatever number I find for my base, right, would go here. But whatever number I find for my height is going to need to be A, and that's going to go right here over the H. So let's start taking a look at this. Well, the problem is giving me C, which is 6 meters. Now, when I look at this, I have to recognize that I can't use this equation right now because I have to know what A is before I can find B, right? B is an unknown, and I need to find B. But to do that, I have to have A. So how can I get A? Well, I also have A down here. So if I knew what C was, that would be easy to determine. And they give me C. So this is what I have to do first. I need to do C first. So C equals 2A. That's my formula, correct? And the equation tells me that C is 6 meters. So then 6 is going to equal 2A. So we're saying that 2 times the length of A should be equal to 6. You know, or saying that this side here is half, or I guess a better way to put it is C is twice the length of A. So as always, I like to isolate my variable here with a circle, and then I got to get it by itself, so I have to remove the 2. And then again, as always in algebra or geometry, anytime I'm moving equations, I have to do one side, I do to the other. So this now is 6 over 2, and 2 goes into itself once, and it goes into 6 3 times. And so I'm left with A equals 3, right? So A equals 3. So that's really all there is to it, to solving for A. Now, I still need to solve for B. So to solve for B, I know that I have to use the equation, oops. Okay. To solve for B, I'm using my equation B equals A square root of 3. And we've already established that A is equal to 3, right? I established that down here. That was the first thing I did. A equals 3. So then I'm just going to take this A and I'm going to plug it in right here so that B equals 3 times the square root of 3. Well, if I really look at this closely, I'm going to notice that there is nothing left to simplify here. It's as simplified as it's going to get. So then that was pretty simple. I am completely finished with B. So then B, my base, equals 3 times the square root of 3. So now that I have these numbers, right, and where A is equal, I'm going to change this over. Okay, so I'm going to have my numbers where A is equal to 3 and B is equal to 3 times the square root of 3, right? And again, my B right here, I found right here. My A is found all the way over here. Okay. So I want to write my equation. A equals, from area, right? This is my equation for area. A equals 1/2 base times height. Well, I said up here that A represents H. So if A represents H, okay, and A is 3, then H must be 3 as well. And B is represented right here. So my equation becomes A equals 1/2, and so B is 3 times the square root of 3, and H is A, which is 3. There we go. Now I have to remember, like I've said over and over and over, that I can take any number and turn it into a fraction by putting it over 1. Okay? And again, I'd like to do this just because it ends up, it helps me, it makes it a little more appealing as far as trying to figure out what to multiply by what. Because oftentimes, if you don't do that, students will make the mistake, and they have a hard time understanding what multiplies where. So if I take 3 times 3, it's going to give me 9. And then I have the square root of 3 there. So I have the square root of 3. And I'm going to take 1 times 1. So this is all over 1. And then I'm just going to drop down my 1/2. And my A. So now I have A equals 1/2 times 9 times the square root of 3 over 1. So I'm going to multiply one more step, and I'm going to say 1 times 9 times the square root of 3 equals 9 square root of 3. And then 2 times 1 is 2. So A is going to be equal to 9 times the square root of 3 over 2. Now if I put this into a calculator and I just simply take 9 times the square root of 3 in a calculator, right? 9 times the square root of 3. And then I hit the equal sign on the calculator, and then I hit divided by 2 on the calculator. So 9 times the square root of 3 divided by 2. I'm going to come up with a decimal point of 7.8 okay, 7.8 centimeters square. Okay, centimeters square. And I put meters up here. I apologize for that. The unit is centimeters. The numbers don't change. It's just, as I've mentioned over and over, I need to make sure the units are proper because there's a difference in that. So it's 7.8 centimeters square. So in closing, to finish this out, just for a final look, my final answer is going to be A equals 7.8 centimeters square. Okay, so hopefully this helps you through problem number 17 in finding the area. And it's a little confusing, I know, or at first, but keep practicing problems. And just remember, you have to solve this portion over here before you can ever tackle the area. Okay, good luck.